An hour south of Melbourne, the quiet suburb of McCrae on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula is a feast for the eyes, but there remains a scar in the landscape from a morning like no other.
In less than 5 seconds, and then you just heard the big crack sound, and the next thing I knew, the fence went down and the ground below me as well just pushed down a little bit and dropped my things, and I just had to run. And I yelled at my friend, I said, "Run, run." He says, "There's a landslide."
Ken Thessera was outside cleaning the windows of a luxury property above, making it ready for sale, when the earth started to move below him. This vision he filmed and broadcast for the first time shows the moments right after the cliffside gave way.
So I ran a few steps just to get covered. By the time I turned and looked behind, I can see the house was just being swept away and everything was just collapsed. And that was it.
Last week, the landslide destroyed a 3-storey holiday rental, injured a council worker on the property, and has forced the evacuation of 19 properties below and around the area. All are still under an exclusion zone while engineers assess the structural integrity of the slope. A week before this incident, a landslip occurred leading to the evacuation of the property, which eventually came tumbling down.
I think from the first landslide that happened 10 days ago or whatsoever, it should have been put to a stop down there as to evacuate people, knowing that this could happen again. And true enough, it happened again.
At the beach, the water is a blessing, but up on the hill, behind the beach, water is becoming a curse. It's turning into a nightmare for property owners who own some of the most sought-after views in the region. Properties at the top of the escarpment are now teetering on the edge.
I'd definitely be concerned if I was there, because we know it's slipping. If we look at the aerial laser surveys, there are gullies going into that section, so nature wants to pull this thing down.
We're standing in Prospect Hill Road at the entry of Viewpoint Road, where the landslide happened only a couple of 100 metres down there.
Local real estate agent Grant McConnell was preparing to put this evacuated property on the market. At Christmas, what were you hoping to sell that property for?
Well, we're at a price range of $4.5 to $5 million. Like, it was certainly going to be a suburb record, there's no question about that.
In 2023, Grant sold the home which slid down the cliff face. What was known about this beforehand? What did you know?
What did I know? Well, I mean, from locals around, there's always been, and we're talking decades of water, of springs underneath the ground that have been, trickling away.
What I think happened was the ground was probably too wet. Yeah, that's definitely a gully feature there.
Coastal geomorphologist Professor David Kennedy says subterraneous water is moving from inland through the escarpment and out into Port Phillip.
It's naturally an unstable landscape. The geology is quite weak, it's loose sand, and it's probably over steep from what nature would like it. So it's something that's going to go, and usually that is with water. And once you plonk water on that landscape, it's going to start moving.
The landslide was a surprise for most a week ago, but for others living here, there have been warning signs. 2011 Australian of the Year businessman and philanthropist Simon McKeon lives along the escarpment.
We have simply seen the cliff erode. Sometimes that might just be a handful of boulders, other times more significant, but in a way nothing has had the effect that what we saw a few days ago has had.
More recently, residents say a sinkhole has also appeared nearby on the road above the escarpment.
An incident occurs and it's fixed. Soil or whatever is put back up a cliff, retaining walls put in place, basically sticky tape and band-aids.
This is something that you had perhaps foreseen or expected as a resident living here, that this could happen?
No doubt at all. And what we have not known, though, is the precise causes.
In 2022, 8 houses had to be evacuated after a landslip sent 10 tonnes of earth down the cliff. The Mayor of Mornington Peninsula Shire Council told 7:30 the council does not know if there is any connection between the 2022 landslip and the current one, and declined to comment because the 2022 landslip is the subject of ongoing legal proceedings. In the immediate future, council has formally requested urgent assistance from the Victorian State Government to address the challenges posed by this event. Simon McKeon believes now is the time to finally address the issues undermining the cliff.
The work that I've seen over the last 2 or 3 days of teams of people coming in with the right equipment, dyes being poured down watercourses, cameras going down pipes. This is all the data that we need. I think we're finally on notice that if we just do what we've been doing in the past, that's a pretty dumb way to approach it.
Should people have built homes here?
Well, I'm certainly not the person to answer that question, but you should be asking some people that. But what I would say is that, you know, if the answer is no, then I want to know that as the answer.
I would have advised against building on the cliff face if I was in the planning or writing report for this area.
After a week of investigating, the local council and the local water authority, South East Water, are both yet to detect any issues with their infrastructure in the cliffside. The cause is still unknown. It says only once the investigations are complete can they begin a plan to return residents to their homes.
The reality is that we all could have done a better job. Actually, starting with me. I've been a resident here for the better part of 50 years. Where was my voice 2 or 3 decades ago? So I'm less interested actually in blaming a particular organisation. But for goodness sake, we need to understand what has actually caused all of this